The views and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to the hosts and their guests and do not reflect the views of any on-site institutions unless explicitly stated.
What's up, everybody? My name is Steve Vanderwall.
And I'm Justin Klosser,
and we're your hosts of Cannabis Cum Laude, a podcast devoted entirely to cannabis. We're going to talk cultivation, business, medicine, politics, culture, advocacy, and everything in between.
The cannabis industry is complicated. It's robust. It has a lot of moving parts, and it's our job to help you understand it just a little bit better. So tune in every week for a brand new episode. And if you have a question that you'd like answered on the show, send it on over to questions@cannabiscumlaude.com. Thanks. Enjoy the show.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude. Steve and Justin here. We are coming off, I'm still high from last weekend. That was the best cannabis event I've ever been to, the Roc City Cannabis Carnival, held out in Scottsville, New York. We're going to talk about that this week. Part one of this episode is going to be really the recap of the festival. It was a huge turnout, 75 plus vendors, food trucks. We're going to get into it. And part two, what we all have in common here, and we have two amazing guests today, is we're all cultivators, and we're going to have a little bit of a cultivators roundtable. Our first guest needs no introduction. Our good friend Rob, the Hydro guy, Bonfiglio, owner of #Hydro, co-owner of Roc City Genetics, and the organizer of this year's, and hopefully the first of many, Roc City Cannabis Carnival.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys.
And a good buddy of ours, epic cultivator. Really looking forward to talking to you, especially during part two. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a great fucking cultivator. Everybody who I talk to says you're the guy.
Appreciate that.
Zippie Hippie 247. Welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Good to have everybody here today.
Awesome. My pleasure.
We're ready. It was a good weekend.
Absolutely. I'd like to say, too, that Zippie's grow just looks like, it's beautiful. It looks like somebody took it out of a commercial facility and just dropped it on his very secure and undisclosed location.
Yeah.
And just left it there for him to play with. And I don't know, man. You keep that thing gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lab. It's a lab for sure.
It looks pretty complicated, but honestly, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
We're gonna pick your brain hard in part two.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure.
Okay.
So getting into the carnival, it was kind of a crazy day, right? Like a whirlwind of shit happened. Tons of people were around, and by the end of it, I tried to kind of get a few words from you, and you're like, man, I just can't even right now. So looking back on it, how'd the day go, bro?
So overall, like once you got to digest everything, it was a total success, right? We had a way better turnout than we originally anticipated. A bit chaotic day of. I didn't get to see most of my homies throughout the day. I didn't get to visit any of the vendors throughout the day. I wanted to go through and support, spend a little money with absolutely everybody, and I did traffic control most of the day, damage control most of the day.
Every time I saw you, you were just walking so fast somewhere. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Hey.
I was either running or I was flying on that golf cart.
Yeah.
You did a good job, though, right, with that damage control, because there was no real serious incidents, at least not that I'm aware of, inside the carnival. I don't know what happened to anybody after they left, what they chose to do on their own choices, whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, heard anything negative either way. But if it is out there, that's on them anyway.
I think everybody made it home safely.
Right.
The whole day was it was a whole different vibe, man. It was just so peaceful. Everything went so smooth inside the carnival grounds. We had trouble with the parking. Again, we did not expect that overflow of vehicles, right?
Well, right. And people just park wherever once they don't know where to park. They're like, oh, whatever. I'm not going to park somewhere else.
We were short-staffed, right? So we were like, all right, we'll have 3 parking attendants, 3-4 guys, kind of just directing the lanes. It shouldn't be too crazy right off the jump. Like, we're all kind of stoners here, right? So like, who the hell is going to show up right at 2? And we were way wrong.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, like we had some people sitting there from like 11:30 in their cars, man. They wanted to be one of the first 50 for the swag bag. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Yeah, when we were setting up our table, it was like probably like noon, 12:30, and then 1:00, and I walked over by the porta potty where the security line was, and I was just like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" There was just like literally as far as I could see to the road, there was a sea of cars. There were people. Every car that was turning in, that road has probably not ever had that much traffic.
I don't know about. Yeah, I don't think so.
It was like 200 yards long, 6 people deep. I'm like, and they just kept coming and kept coming. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was insane. But it was honestly, it was so good for the community. We needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We absolutely needed that.
Absolutely.
That's the first time that really most of the community has been in one place. I did hear a gripe from one friend that he's hearing from some of his older head friends, right, that are like not on social media and stuff, that are like, man, I would have loved to go to that carnival, but I didn't get to be there. But I mean, the fact of the matter is almost everybody I talked to already knew about it. So like
that works kind of in our favor because the town's really upset. We made this kind of an underground, who knows who kind of in the community. You kind of had to know a vendor. It was almost invite only.
Right.
I mean, and if you got an invite, you could obviously bring some tag along friends. But it blew up like wildfire. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are upset. They're like, well, who the hell organized this thing? They did a terrible job of promoting it. Thank you. Bingo. That was the point.
Right.
It was underground, word of mouth, and it was still a crazy turnout.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Imagine.
So you didn't even try and you had the event of the year. I mean, you tried, not that you didn't try, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Dude, imagine if you threw a radio ad or something, or like a bill. I mean, that's crazy that was essentially like word of mouth marketing. I mean, it couldn't have went any better.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, Instagram had shut down our pages probably 6-7 different times between my store page and the carnival page that my wife runs. Shout out to my wife, because I'll tell you what. Yeah, let's snap for wifey, because she puts together one hell of a banger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Our wedding was a banger. This was a banger. She stayed up till 2-3 in the morning every night. We both did, you know what I mean? But mostly her putting in the hard work with the design, the layout, talking to vendors, just really managing the whole damn thing.
Yep.
And I was just there for damage control.
Yeah.
Putting a couple good ideas in and just making sure everything day of went really smooth. But yeah, shout out to wifey. That was crazy.
Yeah, huge. That was. I remember seeing her a couple times over the couple weeks, and you look like you've been working your ass off for like 2 months straight. I mean, I mean that in a good way, but she was working. Every time I saw her, she was like, new diagram, logo, we got more vendors. I'm like, girl, you're about to put together the biggest cannabis event in New York right now.
Meanwhile, she works at the store part-time 3-4 days a week. She takes care of the 2 kids 3-4 days a week. You know what I mean? She's a beast.
Shout out to wifey.
Shout out to wifey.
Wonder Women.
Yes, Wonder Women. That's right, man. They are.
I mean, it was underground, but yet somehow ended up making it across the nation to Colorado.
Yeah.
I heard it on the Duke Grow show the next morning.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Maybe it was 2 mornings, because Gino posted his paper the next day, right? Made it into the Roc City, Roc City newspaper.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say journal for some reason, and I knew that was wrong. So I was like,
well, you said Gino. He's the journalist. So
Right,
I gotcha.
So made it into there. That article came out the next day, and then the following day, boom, Dude Grow Show, which is they're kind of a big deal in the cannabis space.
I watch them.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to them all the time, and
Yep.
And see, what's funny is I was still we were dealing with so much after the carnival that I'm not paying attention to much stuff like that. So then all of a sudden people started tagging us, and I'm like, no way. So they did a brief info in the beginning, I think, right? And then at the 40-something minute mark, 30-something minute mark, they started actually diving in a little bit.
Yeah.
And Scotty Real, I buy Real Growers Recharge all the time. He kept cutting dude off every time. He was like, all right, the organizers. And then he's like, you ever been to an event where they just scream monkey balls? I was like, what the hell is going on
They did
here?
dive into it, though. I mean,
They
they
did.
did start talking about, I was honestly thinking the same thing at first. I was like, man, are they just going to sit here not actually talk about this, right?
No,
but
they did.
Then they did. And Guru said some cool shit, too. He was like, man, I wish I could.
I want spiked lemonade, yeah. That's funny.
To touch on that though, how you guys mentioned how it was poorly advertised, right? Mm-hmm. But the turnout that was there clearly shows how supportive everybody is in this community,
Right.
with each other. We all support each other.
And how large of a community we really have within this community. You know what I mean?
That was the turnout, and we got only a fraction.
Right. Right.
And
Exactly.
it was done. I mean, it was done on Instagram.
Yeah,
I mean,
mainly.
If you're not on Instagram, get on Instagram and start following. You know, even just to start with the pages that are sitting in this room, because there's a whole network of pages, people sharing people's shit, people's accounts getting locked down, and then they create, you know, a second page. Everyone shares it. They're back up. Like this is a huge community. It's very popular. And it's all word of mouth all day long. These people are running the accounts. You know, we're getting ready for the Liddy event on Sunday.
Yep.
She's on the account sharing stuff. I mean, it's really cool to see just this web of local influencers and brands just working together.
Positive
on Instagram.
vibes and spread the love.
Yeah, man.
That's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, I mean, it started. I mean, I'm pretty sure Buffalo. It all started with Buffalo, right? We caught wind of a couple events that they did, and then we decided to put out our flyer, and then we gave ourselves 2 months. You know what I mean? Which, in my opinion, wasn't even close to enough time. But we pulled off, or my wife pulled off a banger within those 2 months, and right after that, it was like all of a sudden, man, that hit, and then boom. Just the whole city lit up. There was events. The lead up, the Res threw one, and then ours was the next day. And then now I just feel like, because the event got a decent amount of coverage and stuff like that, I feel like it just propelled all these other local events that are about to happen. Everybody's business that took part, you know what I mean, or takes part of these events now gets a little bit more clout. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole point of doing it big. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of, backlash, we're dealing with that, but it was worth it. You know what I mean? It was totally worth it.
Yeah. So I had that at the end of the show, but since we brought it up, let's talk about it. I saw the Facebook post with Wheatland, right?
Yeah.
What has there been progression with that? What's going on? I'm curious to know what.
Yeah, I don't want to dive too much into it. I think it's getting smoothed over. You know what I mean? I think they were just more upset we didn't let them know.
Yeah.
And I understand. I get it. It was more of if I had asked and done it the right way, would it have happened? And this was too big for the city not to happen.
Yeah.
So I was almost like, ask for forgiveness after, which sounds terrible, I know. But the event went off. It went great. Nobody got hurt. There was no fights. There was no bad instances at all throughout the day. Traffic was a little crazy, but we directed traffic. We managed the cars. You know what I mean? There was no alcohol at the event whatsoever. 21 and up, bags were checked. People were patted down. There was armed security. We made sure to take everybody's safety into effect. We did everything we could. We went to the Duke company and rented generators and did everything properly. I had a union electrician come check everything out on my side, you know what I mean, to make sure day of everything went out, without a hitch, you know what I mean? So I feel like we went about doing the event very safe for everybody. I understand the whole permit thing, slap on the hand, we'll move on and do it right the next time. But now people know that we can do something like this, and the community can get together, and it was just a melting pot. There was just everybody that you can imagine, anybody that you can imagine from any walk of life was there. Everybody was just having a great time.
Yeah, that was one thing that I saw, and we had kind of talked about it a little bit, were some of the shit on social media, and you should never let any of that stuff, take personally. But somebody had made made it about a race issue, and essentially said that the thing was whitewashed. I'm like, coming from somebody that didn't step foot in there, because if you did step foot in there, if you even read the article from City Paper, you would have gathered that this was about as diverse as a fucking event that you could get.
Yeah.
And granted, some dumb people say dumb stuff, so you don't take it personally, but it was diverse, it was safe, it was peaceful. We followed the laws. There were no issues. The only issue that happened was too many people showed up.
Right.
Too many people showed up. I mean, in my opinion, it was a flawless
And it was
event.
still safe.
Yeah.
With too many people.
One upset neighbor.
Many.
One upset neighbor who, totally understand. They weren't made aware that the event was going to happen. We didn't expect that many people. So they were upset that people parked in front of their house. Nobody went on their property or damaged anything, and the Monroe County Sheriffs did show up. They were extremely cool. They even complimented that everything was pretty well managed and under control. They didn't see a need to disrupt, what was going on, and just let everybody express themselves. You know what I mean? And I was extremely grateful for that. I went up there thinking like, shit, here we go. It's already going to get shut down before this thing like really gets to
Take off,
ramp up, and not at all.
They let it go. Yeah.
It was completely opposite. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Well-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, it was like you were kind of playing in a gray area of the law, right? Because it was on private property.
Yep.
And it was invite only. It wasn't being charged for the tickets. You know what I mean?
It was a raffle ticket. It was a donation towards a raffle ticket, which we're doing the raffle live. We misplaced a box of the raffle tickets, but we got them all together, mixed them all together. And we're going to do the raffle for a grower's tent, a whole package,
Cool.
Fan, filter, light, the whole grow setup. And yeah. So, I mean, everybody who came through the gate got entered into a dope ass raffle anyways. You know
for
what I mean?
$10.
Yeah, for $10.
You can't beat it.
No, it's like a $1,500, $1,500, value.
May the odds be ever in your
Yeah,
favor.
seriously. So one thing that I think, to build off this grayness of the law is this whole notion around the gifting and donations and sales, right? Because right now there's no industry, right? And you're allowed to consume it and you're allowed to possess it, but you're not allowed to grow it and you're not allowed to sell it. But there's what's called a gifting clause where you can give people cannabis for a gift.
Yep. 3 ounces, right?
3 ounces. And you can do things on a donations base. And there's all these loopholes. We know that, it's a workaround, right? But the law is the law and there is a loophole.
Right.
So I had the opportunity a couple days ago to sit down with Senator Cooney, who's a local senator in our district, Gino Finelli, who was the reporter for WXXI, who wrote the Hempsel article and then covered the Carnival article, and Jason Klimek, rock normal guy, big in the cannabis, taxes. He's kind of like one of the cannabis attorneys in New York. And we got into a discussion about it, and really the only argument that he had was that it violates the spirit of the law.
Right, which...
And quite frankly, with,
How many politicians do that, though?
Yeah, right.
The spirit of the law wants the law to get its cut of the money. That's all he's saying. It violates that. That's really what it comes down to.
True. I mean, but the spirit of the law. Like,
Yeah, it's money.
It's more of like... It's almost like it's not technically illegal, but blah blah. It's one of those things where it's like he can't go. He probably fully supports it, right? But it is one of those things that we've seen in other states that in Washington D.C. it was really popular, the gifting clause, and it's being used. And from what we've seen, my point that I'm getting to is that law enforcement showed up, right? Monroe County, they knew what was going on.
Oh yeah,
they seemed. I didn't hear the conversation, but almost not necessarily support it, but we're not against it.
No, so I mean, and honestly, and it's funny because I went up there with the notion of like, all right, I'm going to play this like really cool. He's going to have no idea that this is a cannabis carnival, right? And he walks, I walk up to him and he's like, so you're throwing a cannabis carnival. And I'm like, oh shit, like how did this guy know this? He points over, he's like, yeah, look at your staff member over there. He's got event staff badge on and he's wearing a cannabis carnival t-shirt. And I'm like, all right, like we're on the right foot.
You got a ticket?
Yeah, right. You want to come in? And no, he was real cool about it the whole time. And actually, he showed up 3 separate times throughout the day. Once to just like, see what the hell was going on. Yeah. He felt it out. I talked to him. We smoothed it over. The landowner even smoothed it over with me the first time. Second time he came back just to make sure, he did a pass around. And then the third time it had made it to, higher up and he had to come back out and get my name and information just in case there was any issues. He knew who to contact. And that time was the funniest part. People are walking out with clones at that point, and this guy, he's breaking their chops. Like, you got a good light for that? You got good soil for those?
No.
Like, don't let those die. You know what I mean? And
see, he knows.
Yeah, he knew, and he was real cool. And I mean, he pretty much was like, so he he wasn't like digging for information, but he was like trying to, you could tell he was interested himself and like trying to wrap his head around it because they don't even know. Right. So he was asking me the laws, how many plants can you legally grow? He's like, we hear a bunch of shit, but nobody really like tells us anything. And so I am informing police
You
officer.
told sir it's 100?
Yeah, no, I did not. I wanted to make sure we stayed honest and, transparent.
150, sir.
Yeah.
But, they don't even know what a mature and immature plant is. They don't know the terminology.
We should hold a Q&A panel with RPD, like whoever wants to come. Like,
I
just
mean,
put that out there.
I'd be down. You know what I mean?
what
To
I'm
give
saying?
as much information as I can,
Educational.
without hurting the community at all or putting anybody in jeopardy. But to educate the community is to educate the community, and that means all of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, I'm saying like even we just put together like a little panel of people who know the different aspects of the industry and just go talk to be like, hey, who from RPD wants to come? We're holding this thing. Come here because we know you're uneducated. We know this is coming here, and like we want you to be as informed about the freaking community and the industry and what everything is as possible. So you're not going in off of these misguided views from like the Dare days, right?
Right.
Yeah, I have a couple good friends. One particularly really good friend who's been in RPD for about 5 years, and I'll tell you, like, there's some of those guys who are just as excited about cannabis as we are, and not to mention, they got a stressful job. These guys are seeing shit on the daily, especially in city police, that we wouldn't ever want to see, and they're seeing it routinely. These guys and gals would be direct beneficiaries of having access to cannabis because we know if you're getting drug tested, you're doing weekend drugs. We talk about this on the show. Blow, alcohol, getting hammered. Those are downward spiral drugs
And
where
terrible vices.
terrible.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would venture to say, obviously, with responsible use, that police would be direct beneficiaries of access to good cannabis, and it'd probably make their lives a lot better.
There are specific strains bred to help with PTSD, anxiety, depression.
Yep.
A huge list of probably what many police officers experience on a daily basis.
Yep.
Yep. Seriously.
But they can't use it because it's against policy.
Yeah.
It's federally illegal. You know what I mean? If it wasn't federally illegal, then, maybe things would change a little bit, Everybody just smoke a joint and relax.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for years, man.
It would go off just like the event, you know what I mean? Imagine if you had thrown booze in the mix.
I was literally going to touch on that. I'm glad you are.
No, go ahead. No, because I'd like to hear it from you. You were an attendee there, man. You
Yeah.
helped us work it. You helped us put it together.
Yep.
So I'd like to hear it. You know what I mean?
So my take on the carnival. First of all, it was fantastic. Loved it. Couldn't have been better. Beside my epic fail at the parking, which your dad threw me out of that quicker than quick. So no big deal. It was much deserved.
Oh man.
But, so like you just said, I wasn't a vendor in this one, which hopefully the next one I will be.
You already know.
But I had, my wife and I had a chance to help you guys out as far as set up prior and day of and help you with parking and, a list of other things. But so it was just awesome being a part of that. Everybody's so passionate about it, about the plant, and just supporting everybody. And honestly, it was like a dream come true, man. I've been talking about things like this and events like this for years, getting back to that point,
Right.
you get a bunch of people, a mass of people together, get them high. What's going to happen? People are going to eat, dance, sing, laugh, have a good time.
Yep.
You have, and it's happened, you have big concerts where people are drinking and consuming large amounts of alcohol. Somebody looks at somebody the wrong way or says something, even as simple as a elbow nudge.
Yep.
And next thing you know, there's a huge brawl.
Tensions are high. You know what I
And
mean?
about the carnival, I ran into, I don't know if you saw because you were all over the place, but I ran into literally people that have taught me in high school, people that have taught me at the college level, old bosses.
Yep.
And not even there just for cannabis. Some people literally were there for CBD, for other reasons, what they need help with.
Absolutely. It was definitely, it was a nice platform for the community to really showcase what we can do with one another as businesses that do compete in the same market, and how we don't have to be cutthroat or, conniving and nasty about it at all. There's
no reason.
There's plenty of pie for everybody.
Yeah, and like the intro said, it's a robust market. You know what I mean? Like this thing is big. And we were hoping that this gives the vendors a chance to play ball, when the legislation comes out and when they roll out that red tape. You know what I mean? Because, from an event standpoint, you can always throw these events, but when the legislation rolls out, you have to have people that are compliant within the, that legislation, right?
Yep.
And within that red tape and those confines of whatever they lay out. So, I mean, does that kick out these small, kind of mom and pop vendors who are really actually putting their money back into the community, who spend their money in the community, who live in this community, you know what I mean? And fail, prosper, whatever in this community. It's just like, are we going to give them a fair chance? That's why we wanted to showcase this early.
Well, I think that's where I think two things have to happen. I think the craft license is going to be really popular, where people on a small scale can grow, make edibles, and sell, or whatever they do, all under one roof, right? You'll be limited to how much square footage. We all know that you can make a lot of money in this industry in 5,000 square feet. Right?
Sure.
Single
Absolutely.
source micro craft.
Right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people would
yeah.
be happy with
Be okay with
Oh my
making a
God.
few million bucks a year if you do it the real right way, if you maximize it, right?
Sure. You absolutely could. Yeah.
But I think it has to be, we have to give out micro business license and make them accessible and make them easy to get, and they have to be low cost. Because if you come in and say, we want to build the craft industry, but you're dinging people at 15, 20 grand per license, I mean,
That sounds really low to me, as far as what I've heard
For micro?
projected for any of them.
I've
No
heard
shit.
like six figures.
I talked to a guy who told me that you're looking at a micro license if you don't have a move-in ready facility that you've already paid for, at least $500,000, at least.
I mean, to buy real estate, if you don't have a facility, you're going to spend that much in real estate. But
If
in
you're
terms of
buying
the
real
How
license-
many of
estate,
these mom
yeah.
and pop people really do though?
So what
I
if
mean,
we-
some of them might be able to do outdoors, but
Can we do
what's
a
the
collective?
likelihood that legislation?
Is there a way that you can like that?
Collectively use your micro licenses?
Not even that. Like, so okay.
I feel
all
like
of
this
us
is
are-
a
all of us
beautiful
are-
topic for the Growers Roundtable.
I know we're moving all over the place, but we're vibing. But seriously, like, could we? Okay, we're all cultivators. We have a large facility that we all chip in on, right? We all have our own space. We all cultivate our own medicine for our own patients that we can share or gift or whatever the 3 ounces. Are we allowed to come together as one unit, being 4 separate growers, 4 separate spaces in one building?
I don't see why not. It's one license.
I mean,
it would just have to be. It would just how you structure the entity and all the employees and everything. But I think that absolutely you could do that.
I think that'd be cool.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with the micro business license. So short recap: vertical integration is banned in the industry, which means you cannot own all aspects of the supply chain under its scale. Right? It prevents the big companies from coming over, winning in economies of scale, and wiping out the little guys. But what you can do is have a micro business license, like we were talking about, that allows you to do everything under one roof, under X amount of square feet. Right? I think it'll be between 10 and 20,000 square feet, which is great. The question is, that's a lot of difference in space. And right now, we don't know how big that's going to be. So some people might have a 5,000 square foot warehouse. That's great. Some people might have a 25,000 square foot warehouse that they're hoping, and it will be too big. So it'll be likely on square footage. But right now, we have no idea what that square footage is going to be.
Well, I mean, you could cut off half of that, couldn't you? Or not half, but
Maybe
to
build a
whatever
room
the
within a room.
size,
Yeah.
Build, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
room within a
just
room and
parcel it off. Make
Yeah.
one your office or whatever.
you
like-
should be able. I mean, you would think so.
Yeah.
As long as the actual growing space is to,
to
whatever.
the canopy size.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that's what it is canopy size and not facility size. 'Cause
But see,
that
my
would
concern,
entirely
though-
complicate things.
My concern though is like they're helping women and minorities out in New York obtaining licenses and permits to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about you, but what about guys like me who work, bust our asses to make a living, and where's our help?
I don't think.
I just wanted to put that out there.
It's not there.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get any extra help. You know what I mean? Especially with the way things are rolled out today and the way things are, heading in a direction. I just don't. I don't see you obtaining it as easily as somebody else. maybe if you put it in your wife's name,
I was just about to say, so maybe our wives,
you know what I mean?
at one point, maybe business owners. At
you
one
know,
point.
and it's not wrong that they're helping minorities and women propel the community. Not at all, because let's be honest.
I support that. I want to
Yeah.
get that
No,
straight.
I know
support that
you
one.
do.
Oh yeah, I just
know
want
your
to put that
stance.
out there. Oh yeah.
I know your stance. But I mean, it is kind of somewhat a male dominated industry, I guess, in like the growers aspect. I feel like I see more growers come into my store that are men than women. Now, out west, we see something different because
way different.
you know what I mean? But here, at least right now, I think it would be cool to get some women in the shake. And even if we have to, you know, like with me, Roc City Genetics, right? We're trying to get the nursery license. And realistically, my wife's a boss as it is, you know, so why not? That's her business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Smart. And now, can I help her throughout this? Sure, I'm her husband. I can help her do anything that she needs, but it's going to be her business. And does she also get an easier shot or maybe a better shot at getting it than I would if I applied?
Yes.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
mean, and it's not a way to skirt the law or anything. Those are just the facts. You know what I mean? And if we want to help do this the right way, sometimes that's the way it's got to be done. Because, Zip, I know, me and you know, we can do some serious good for this community. And if we all come together, the good growers and facilitators of this, you know, industry, we can really put some good shit together for our area specifically, and maybe even further. And if that's what's got to happen, that's what's got to happen.
I would hope that would be the end goal, is collectively we put out really great genetics, clean, good, proven genetics at that.
Right.
Tested.
Of course. And, you know, help medicate the masses.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously.
And I think this will probably be a good segue into the Growers Roundtable. But I think what's important is that we share our knowledge, because, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, a lot of most successful businesses keep everything close to their chest.
Right.
But this is something that, in order to propel the industry, education. And the more people know, you know, think about, we all probably have mentors, right?
Absolutely.
Think about what you would do for your mentor. Probably anything, right?
Yeah.
He taught you everything. You know, I would do the same for mine. So I think it's important, you know, for guys like us and gals out there who know how to grow or know how to make products. Well, I don't suggest divulging all your secrets. Help people, teach people. If you see somebody that's growing a business and they're struggling, help them out. You know,
especially at the forefront of this stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To really get this thing off the ground. You know what I mean? If people were like stingy and hiding stuff, you know what I mean? That would just hinder the whole thing. Yeah. So your point's perfect, dude.
Just hurts everybody, you know. Being negative, like you said, or trying to set people back, like why put that bad karma out there and bad energy, you know?
Yeah, and especially
Absolutely.
But I'll finish my point on the latter half. Let's wrap this up. Thanks everybody. We're gonna tune into part 2, and we're gonna start cultivation. You got anything?
Elevate your state of mind.
Yes, sir. We'll be back.
Thanks to our friends here at Rockbox Recording and Production in Rochester, New York. They are a full professional podcast and video studio designed by a radio guy for podcasters. Audio, video, voiceovers, editing, whatever. Mouth off at Rockbox at rockbox.com.
You can follow Cannabis Cum Laude on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Cannabuzz. Type Cannabis Cum Laude into your search bar and you should be able to find us, but the links will also be posted in the episode notes as well. If you want to help support the show, head on over to Patreon, and that will ensure that we're able to keep the best quality sound and video coming to you on a regular basis. And if you liked what you heard today, please don't forget to rate and review the show.